Dave Cochrane on the Super Radio Network.
Yes, this is interesting. Now, you might remember a few weeks ago, the campaign got underway to find out Australia's worst boss. Well, the votes are open. Rudy Krause is with us. Rudy is with us from Compono, and we're finding out how it's going. Rudy, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Dave. Very well yourself?
I'm going great. I'm very interested in this. Australia's worst boss. Tell us how it's going. Have you had many applicants?
We've had tremendous success so far. So out of more than 200, we now have our top 10 worst boss stories. Now, all we need is Australia to vote for the winner. And Australians can do that by going on to worstboss.com.au. Every vote that we get, we'll donate $1 to Are You OK Day. And the winner also gets $5,000 holiday. It's kind of the antithesis to a bad boss at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. Can you tell us, or can you share with us, maybe a short one or two, a couple of these outrageous stories of these bad bosses?
Dave, we've had everything. So some of the ones that are in the top 10 that you can go look at, and it's probably one of my favorite, is the boss who forced their staff to watch his recreations of historic battles using 18th century figurines at the office. So he made them sit down whilst having lunch, and they're all, watching him play this. So kind of outrageous.
Yeah.
I mean, another one that really stands out for me, Dave, is a boss who essentially is a micromanager who insisted that his employees remain on call 24/7, even when on holidays. A great example is the employee who went away on a holiday while snorkeling, and the boss said, well, take a plastic case with you so you can answer my text messages, answer my emails while snorkeling.
That's good. Yeah, I like it.
So, look, we've had everything at the end of the day. Some ones that aren't quite as funny because, at the end of the day, we've used essentially humor to help people open up. But, behind every story, of course, there's someone that's feeling disrespected, stressed, undervalued. So, we've been very careful to highlight both sides of the stories, the laughs as well as the lessons. Hence, we're really focused on the redemption part of our campaign and why we're also donating to Are You OK?
Yeah. Now, you've said behind every story there's a person who felt disrespected or stressed. What does that tell us about the state of leadership in Australian workplaces, Rudy?
Great question. I think, we've come a long way. I think there's a lot more open discussions about psychological safety, mental well-being, and general improvement at work. You can definitely see that with the likes of the launching of, Are You OK? And psychological campaigns. So I think, we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. I think at the end of the day, what's really standing out is, most bad bosses aren't necessarily bad people, but there is a real common theme around leadership lacking compassion, leadership lacking support for their staff, disrespectful behavior, micromanagement. And at the end of the day, what this is really showing, Dave, is that leaders are forced into these roles. They're chosen because they're good from a technical perspective, but not necessarily from a people perspective. And they are different skill sets, right? So I think that is the real missing piece to the puzzle is organizations not recognizing that we need to train people in a different skill set.
Do bad bosses know that they're a bad boss?
Look, this is a really interesting question because some of the findings, some of the stories that we're getting is that real lack of self-awareness, right? I think, yes, everybody can have a moment where you have a brain fart and you do something really stupid or say something really stupid at work and you go, well, you know what, lesson learned, I'm not doing that again. But the thing that's really standing out is the fact that it's continuous behavior time and time again. So to me, that says, hey, there is a lack of that emotional intelligence. And again, emotional intelligence is a skill, right? So it can be trained. So from my perspective, I think absolutely there's some real lack of self-awareness, real lack of understanding.
What about other bad bosses? Are they truly bad, or could it be a case of, look, you're just misreading them? Now, maybe I'll run a scenario by you, Radio. Maybe the boss has someone they're working with and they give them a direction and they go, just play a song for me, will you? And then you play a song that the boss already played half an hour earlier. Can you feel the frustration from the boss if it was just a simple direction? Now you make the boss look like an idiot because it looks like he played that same song 5 minutes ago and he's played it again. But does it reflect that the bad boss is bad, or is it just that the person he's working with? You know what I mean?
I love that question because I think there's three parts to this answer. I'm going to be very clear.
I love your answers. Let's hear them.
I think from the organization's perspective, I think there's a hell of a long way to go for organizations developing, coaching, mentoring leaders. From a leader's perspective, I do think there's an element of, well, you've got to have some self-reflection at the end of the, I mean, Dave, every year, every day, you're hopefully saying, well, how can I be 1% better than yesterday, 1% better than the year before?
Yeah.
So there is also still some self-reflection. And then from the employee's perspective, 100%, right? This is a two-way street. So from an employee's perspective, you've also got to work with the leader. You're working in a team, so you can't be a silo. You can't work in isolation. So when all three of these cogs work together, you get a magnificent machine.
Okay, I think so. Okay, I'm going to file that as employee equals dumbass. I'll put it in that file. It's just it's a subculture folder that I have here myself. It works for me. It may not work for everybody else.
I like it.
How does this sort of leadership impact staff morale, mental health, and even the success of a business? You tell us.
Look, research at the moment is actually quite stunning. Bad leadership is costing businesses billions of dollars in Australia through, like you said, high turnover rates, people not engaged in their job. There's a very high proportion of people that are feeling disengaged, not motivated in their roles. And at the end of the day, leaders have a direct impact about what people do, how people feel, and how they interact at work. So, if you take that out, and we know that when leaders are good, people perform, they're happy, and you get a better work environment, a better culture. So I'd say, there's significant impact when leaders aren't performing and employees aren't getting what they should be getting from their leaders.
How long, Rudy, can a bad boss continue in a boss role before they realise, look, this guy's just a bad boss, and they can't continue in that role?
Well, that is a great question, because I think at the end of the day, it's also what the organization allows. If the organization allows bad behavior, it can be indefinite, right? But if the organization holds people to account, wants to clearly measure and identify culture, the same way we do at Compono, we can clearly understand what people are doing, what their behaviors are helping with, what they're hindering, and what they're potentially overlooking that they should be implementing. So this is where Compono really, that's why we're running this campaign. We really want to understand human behavior, culture, performance, and competence, and avoid bad leaders getting into these roles and bad employees, to your point, Dave, getting selected in the first place.
Now, Rudy, Australia's Worst Boss voting open now. How can our listeners take part, and what happens to the winning story?
Fantastic. So Australians, everybody, go online, vote. Go to worstboss.com.au. What will happen is the winner will be announced. We're going to make a big hoopla about it. Hopefully we're going to be on TV and some radio shows like yours, if you invite me back, Dave. But we will get this person online. You can have a conversation with them and get the story straight from the horse's mouth. They will get a $5,000 holiday. They'll also get some coaching and leadership development from a corporate psychologist. And as I said at the start, we will give $1 to every vote to Are You OK Day.
What a great benefit there for the mental health charity Are You OK? That's sensational, and we know that the money's going to a great cause.
Absolutely, Dave. And we believe the reason why we started this is to inspire the best. We need to expose the worst. So we want to find out how we can have redemption stories, turn a bad boss into a better boss, and how we can make employees come along the journey.
If you like, Rudy, I'll email you my subculture folder of dumbass, and you can have a little look over it. You might like to utilise it yourself.
It might be too big for my inbox.
Yeah, I'll see if I can shrink it for you. I'll see how I go. Hey, Rudy, it's been awesome talking to you. Thank you so much. Rudy Krause, Australia's Worst Boss. That's sensational. We'll take a break. We're back with you after this on the Super Radio Network.